Captain Jake Morrison looked at the strange object floating in space near Jupiter. It was like nothing he had ever seen before. The thing was shaped like a crystal, but it glowed with soft blue light. The ship, the UES Horizon, had picked it. Up on sensors 3 hours ago, they were close enough to see it clearly. "What do you think it is, Captain?" asked Lisa Hayes, his second-in-command. She was a smart woman who had served with him for 5 years. Jake trusted her judgment more than anyone else on the ship. "I don't know," Jake said. "But it's not from Earth. That much is clear." The object was about the size of a school bus, but it moved through space like it was alive. It turned slowly, scanning their ship with beams of light that felt warm even through the metal hull. Jake had been a Marine before becoming a space explorer. His training told him to be careful, but his curiosity was stronger. "It's not attacking us," Lisa said. The scan seemed gentle, almost like it's trying to say hello. Jake nodded. The alien probe had been studying Earth for the past week. It looked at their cities, their oceans, and their forests. It never came close enough to be dangerous, but it watched everything. Now it was watching them. "Send a message," Jake ordered. "Basic math first, then star charts. Let's see if anyone is listening." Far away in a beautiful crystal city on a planet called Serenity Prime, Dr. Velthara stared at her computer screen with growing worry. The data from the probe was impossible. The third planet from that yellow star was a death trap. No thinking creature could live there and survive. The gravity was crushing. The air was poison. The weather was violent beyond belief. Liquid water fell from the sky in amounts that would flood entire cities. The temperature changed so fast it would kill most known life forms in minutes. Yet somehow, creatures lived there. Not just lived, but built cities and flew ships between the stars. "This cannot be real," she whispered to herself. Dr. Velthara was the best scientist in the Galactic Council. She had studied life on 1,000 worlds. But this world, this Earth, broke every rule she knew. The ethereals, her people, lived on garden worlds, where the weather was always perfect. The air was clean and light. The gravity was gentle. The most dangerous animal on her home world was about as scary as a butterfly. They had never seen anything like what lived on Earth. Ambassador Zethkar walked into her lab. He was tall and graceful, with skin that glowed like starlight. His people had been exploring space for thousands of years, but they had never found a world like this one. "What have you learned?" he asked. "The creatures on this world are impossible," Dr. Velthara said. "They live in conditions that would kill us in seconds. Their bodies are made of heavy elements. They breathe a gas that would burn our lungs. They walk in gravity that would crush our bones. Yet they build cities," Zethkar said. "They have technology. They fly ships between the stars." "Yes," she said, "and that terrifies me." The ambassador looked at the images on her screen. Creatures were bipedal, like many species, but they were covered in thick skin and hair. They moved in groups, working together in ways that seemed almost military. Their cities were built like fortresses, as if they expected to be attacked at any moment. "They call themselves humans," Dr. Velthara continued. "And their world is called Earth. But we should call it what it really is, a death world." Back on the UES Horizon, Jake received the reply from the alien probe. Mathematics, star charts, and something else. Music. The aliens had sent them music. That sounded like crystal bells ringing in the wind. It was beautiful and strange. "They're trying to communicate," Lisa said. "This is real first contact." Jake made a decision that would change everything. Send them an invitation. Tell them they can follow us home. It's time for Earth to meet its neighbors. The probe's response was immediate. It turned toward Earth and began to follow them. But it also sent a message back to its creators. The message was simple but urgent. The Death World creatures are intelligent. They want to meet us. I am bringing them home. On Serenity Prime, the Galactic Council went into emergency session. 47 different species gathered in the Great Crystal Chamber. They had never dealt with anything like this before. Death World creatures were supposed to be savage and primitive. They were not supposed to have spaceships and peaceful intentions. "You must be careful," said Ambassador Zethkar. "These creatures have evolved in conditions that would kill any of us." We do not know what they are capable of. They seem peaceful, said another council member. Their first message was mathematical constants and star charts. They did not threaten us. That may be because they do not see us as a threat, Zethkar replied. What happens when they realize how much more advanced we are? What happens when they want what we have? Dr. Velthara studied the data from the probe. The human ship was crude by galactic standards, but it was built like a weapon. Everything about it was designed for survival in hostile conditions. The humans inside it were protected by layers of metal and energy shields. Their technology was simple but effective. Think like soldiers, she said. Everything they build is designed to protect them from their environment. They expect their world to try to kill them, because it does, Zethkar said quietly. Every day, every hour, their world tries to kill them, and they have learned to fight back. The journey to Earth took 3 days. Jake watched the alien probe the entire time, stayed exactly 1,000 kilometers away, never getting closer, never falling behind. It was clearly intelligent, but it was also careful. Jake respected that. As they approached Earth, Jake felt nervous for the first time. He was about to show aliens his home world. What would they think of humanity? What would they think of Earth? The blue and white planet appeared on the main screen. Clouds swirled in the atmosphere. Lightning flashed in the storm systems. Continents were covered in green forests and brown deserts. To human eyes, it was beautiful. To alien eyes, it was terrifying. Dr. Velthara watched the probe's data stream in real time. The death world was even worse than she had imagined. The atmosphere was thick with water vapor and electrical storms. The surface was covered in plant life that absorbed the deadly radiation from the star. The oceans were vast and deep, hiding creatures that could swallow ships whole. How do they survive? She whispered. The answer came when they saw the human cities were built to last, with strong walls and deep foundations. The humans had learned to work with their deadly environment instead of fighting it. They used the wind to make power. They used the water to grow food. They had turned their death world into a home. They are not primitive, Dr. Velthara said, with growing respect. They are adapted. They have learned to thrive in conditions that would destroy us. Jake opened a communication channel to the alien probe. Welcome to Earth, he said. We are glad to meet you. The probe's response was immediate. We are honored. By your welcome, came the translated reply. We are the Ethereals. We come in peace to learn about your remarkable world. Neither species knew it yet, but this moment would change the galaxy forever. The first meeting between Deathworld survivors and Garden World dwellers would create an alliance that would reshape the stars themselves. But first, they would have to overcome their fear of each other. As the two ships orbited Earth together, Jake Morrison and Dr. Velthara both wondered the same thing. What would happen when two completely different forms of life tried to understand each other? The answer would surprise them both. Dr. Velthara felt sick as her ship entered Earth's atmosphere. The pressure was crushing her body even through the strongest protection suit her people had ever made. The air outside was poison. Gravity was so heavy she could barely move. Yet somehow, the humans lived here every day like it was normal. Are you sure this is safe? Asked her assistant, Dr. Krentel. He was shaking inside his protection suit. Nothing about this planet is safe, Dr. Velthara replied. But we must learn about these creatures. The Council needs to understand what we are dealing with. Lisa Hayes met them at the landing site in North America. She was wearing only thin clothes and breathing the deadly air like it was nothing. She smiled and waved at the aliens as they struggled to walk in the heavy gravity. Welcome to Earth, Lisa said through the translation device. I hope you like forests. This is one of our quieter places. Quieter places. Dr. Velthara could not believe it. The forest around them was full of sounds. Birds called from trees that grew tall enough to crush buildings if they fell. Insects buzzed through the air, some of them big enough to see clearly. The ground was covered in plants that grew wild and thick. This is quiet? Dr. Krentel asked. Oh yes, Lisa said. Should hear the jungle or the ocean during a storm. Now that's loud. They walked deeper into the forest. Every step was hard for the aliens. Their suits were heavy, and the gravity made everything worse. But Lisa walked easily, pointing out different plants and animals like she was giving a tour of a garden. "That's an oak tree," she said, pointing to a massive plant. "They can live for hundreds of years. Some of them are older than our oldest cities." Double quotes. Dr. Valthara looked up at the tree. It was enormous, with branches thick enough to build houses. From on her world, no plant grew larger than a person. Here, the trees were giants. "How do you cut them down?" she asked. "We don't usually," Lisa said. "We build around them. They were here first." The idea shocked Dr. Valthera. Humans built their cities around plants. They shared their space with other life forms. On most civilized worlds, nature was carefully controlled and kept in small areas. Here, nature was everywhere. A sound made them all freeze. Something big was moving through the trees. Dr. Valthara grabbed her emergency communicator, ready to call for help. Dr. Krentel was already backing toward their ship. "Relax," Lisa said calmly. "It's just a bear." The creature that walked into the clearing was a nightmare, was covered in thick fur and had claws longer than Dr. Valthara's fingers. It was taller than a human when it stood up. Its teeth were sharp and white, could kill any of them with one swipe of its massive paw. "Just a bear?" Dr. Valthera whispered. "A medium-sized one," Lisa said. "We're afraid of us than we are of him." The bear looked at them for a moment, then turned and walked away. It moved like it owned the forest, which Dr. Valthara realized it probably did. She watched it disappear into the trees. "That creature could kill you," she said to Lisa. "Maybe," Lisa replied, "but it probably won't. Bears mostly eat fish and berries. They only attack if they think their babies are in danger." "You know what it eats?" "Of course. Study the animals we share the planet with. How else would we live safely around them?" Dr. Valthara's mind was spinning. Humans did not just survive on their death world. They understood it. It learned about the creatures that could kill them. It found ways to live alongside them. Tour continued to a beach on the ocean. The aliens had to be carried in a special vehicle because the journey was too hard for them to walk. When they arrived, Dr. Valthara saw something that made her question everything she knew about life. Humans were lying on the sand, letting the deadly radiation from their star hit their skin directly. Others were swimming in the ocean, surrounded by water that could dissolve alien flesh in minutes. Children were playing in the waves, laughing as the powerful water knocked them down. "They do this for fun?" Dr. Krentel asked. "Swimming is one of our favorite activities," Lisa said. "The ocean is beautiful. Would you like to see it up close?" Dr. Valthara looked at the waves. They were huge, carrying enough force to break buildings. The water was full of salt that would burn through most alien skin. Under the surface, she knew there were creatures that could swallow ships whole. "No thank you," she said quickly. A young human boy ran up to them. He was maybe 10 years old. Dripping wet from the ocean, he looked at the aliens with curiosity. "Are you from space?" he asked. "Yes," Dr. Valthera said through her translator. "Cool. Do you want to see the shells I found?" The boy showed them colorful shells he had picked up from the beach. Each one had been home to a creature that lived in the deadly ocean. He talked about them like they were toys, not the remains of alien life forms. "The ocean is full of life," Lisa explained. "Millions of different creatures live there. Some are tiny, some are huge, some are beautiful, some are scary. But they all have their place." Dr. Valthara realized that humans did not see their world as dangerous. They saw it as home. They had learned to live with creatures that could kill them. They had found beauty in places that would be certain death for most species. The next stop was a mountain range. The aliens had to be carried again, this time in a flying vehicle. As they climbed higher, the air got thinner and the temperature dropped. Dr. Valthara's suit was working harder to keep her alive. "The air is too thin," she said. "How do you breathe up here?" Lisa said. "People live in these mountains all year round. They have bigger lungs and stronger hearts. Their bodies adapt." Bodies that adapt. Dr. Valthera wrote that down in her notes. Humans changed themselves to fit their environment. They became stronger, faster, better at surviving in impossible conditions. They landed at a mountain village where humans lived, at an altitude that would kill most aliens instantly. The people there were friendly and curious about their visitors. They offered food and asked questions about space travel. "They seem so normal," Dr. Krenel said quietly. "They are normal," Dr. Velthara replied. "But for Deathworld creatures." An old human woman showed them how she made warm clothes from animal fur. She had lived in the mountains for 70 years, surviving winters that would freeze most known life. Forms solid. She talked about avalanches and storms like they were just part of life. "Do you ever want to live somewhere safer?" Dr. Velthara asked. The woman laughed. "Safer? This is the most beautiful place in the world. Why would I want to live anywhere else?" On the flight back to their ship, Dr. Velthara thought about everything she had seen. Humans did not just survive on their death world, they loved it. They found beauty in its dangers. They had learned to live with creatures that could kill them and weather that could destroy cities. "What will you tell the council?" Dr. Krentel asked. "The truth," she said. "Humans are not just death world survivors. They're something new. Something we have never seen before." That night, Dr. Velthara sent her report to the Galactic Council. She told them about the bears in the ocean and the mountains. She told them about humans who lived in impossible conditions and called them beautiful. She ended her report with a warning. "We are not dealing with primitive death world creatures. We're dealing with a species that has learned to thrive in conditions that would kill us all. They're stronger than us, tougher than us, and more adaptable than us. The question is not whether they are dangerous. The question is what they will do when they discover the galaxy." The council received her report in silence. For the first time in their history, they had found a species that might be more powerful than they were, a species that called a death. World Homan thought it was beautiful. The galaxy was about to change forever. The Great Crystal Chamber of the Galactic Council had never seen an emergency meeting like this one. Representatives from 47 different species filled the floating platforms that surrounded the central speaking area. The air hummed with nervous energy as beings who had lived in peace for thousands of years tried to understand a threat unlike anything they had ever faced. Ambassador. Zethkar stood at the center of the chamber, his usually calm demeanor showing cracks of worry. In his hands, held the data crystal that contained Dr. Velthara's report from Earth. The information it contained would change everything the galaxy thought. It knew about life in the universe. "Friends and colleagues," Zethkar began, his voice carrying clearly through the chamber's translation systems. "We face a situation that has no precedent in our recorded history. We have discovered a species that challenges our understanding of what life can be." The chamber fell silent. Even the gentle humming of the harmony singers stopped. Eyes turned to the central display as images from Earth began to play. The first image showed a human child playing in ocean waves that could crush most alien ships. The second showed humans walking casually through a forest where every plant was toxic, and every animal was a predator. The third showed humans living on mountaintops, where the air was too thin for most species to survive. "This is their normal life," Zethkar continued. "What you are seeing is not their soldiers or their warriors. These are their children, their families, their ordinary citizens." A representative from the Pacifist Coalition, a being that looked like a floating flower, spoke first. "Surely they must be exaggerating. No species can survive in such conditions." "Dr. Velthara spent 3 weeks on their world," Zethkar replied. "She wore our most advanced protection suits and still nearly died from the experience. The humans wore nothing but thin fabric and breathed the air directly." The chamber erupted in worried chatter. Species that had never known fear began to understand what terror felt like. The ethereals, who had been exploring space for millennia, had found something that made them feel small and helpless. Dr. Velthara herself entered the chamber, still weak from her time on Earth. She moved slowly to the speaking platform, her usual grace replaced by careful movements. The chamber fell silent again as she prepared to speak. "I have studied life on over 1,000 worlds," she began. "I have seen creatures that live in the hearts of stars and beings that survive in the cold of deep space. But I have never seen anything like the humans of Earth." She activated the display behind her, showing video recordings from her visit. The assembled representatives watched in growing horror as humans did things that should have been impossible. They call it exercise, Dr. Valthera said, showing humans running for miles in the deadly heat. They do it to make themselves stronger. They voluntarily put their bodies under stress that would kill most of us. The next video showed humans swimming in their ocean during a storm. Lightning crashed around them as they rode waves that could destroy buildings. They were laughing. We call it surfing, Dr. Valthera continued. They do it for fun, representative. From the merchant princes, a species that valued profit above all else, leaned forward. What about their technology? Are they advanced enough to be a threat? Their technology is primitive by our standards, Dr. Valthara admitted. Designed differently than ours? Everything they build is made to last, to protect, to survive. Their ships are built like fortresses. Their cities are designed to withstand disasters that would destroy our capitals. She showed them images of human architecture, buildings that could survive earthquakes, storms, and floods. Vehicles that could travel through conditions that would stop most galactic transport. Tools that were built to work even when everything else failed. They think like soldiers, she said. Not because they are warlike, but because their world has taught them that survival requires constant preparation for the worst possible situation. The chamber buzzed with nervous discussion. Harmony singers, a species that had never known. Violence began to sing a song of worry. The ethereals, who prided themselves on their advanced technology, realized that human technology might be more effective than their own in many situations. General Nexmore of the Stellar Defense Corps stood up. He was a massive being from a heavy-gravity world, but even his people lived in conditions that were gentle compared to Earth. What about their military capabilities? He asked. If they can survive on a death world, what can they do in space? Valthara's expression grew even more worried. I asked them about their history of conflict. They were very open about it. They have fought wars using weapons that could destroy entire continents. They've built devices that could make planets uninhabitable. And they did this not to fight aliens, but to fight each other. The chamber went completely silent. The idea of a species developing planet-killing weapons to use against themselves was beyond the understanding of most galactic civilizations. They called it the Cold War, Dr. Valthara continued. For decades, they pointed these weapons at each other, ready to destroy their own world rather than let their enemies win. But they never used them. They found ways to resolve their conflicts without ending their civilization. That shows restraint, said a representative from the Wisdom Keepers. Or it shows that they understand the true cost of power, replied General Vexmore. A species that can build world-ending weapons, but chooses not to use them, may be more dangerous than one that uses them without thinking. The debate continued for hours. Some species wanted to quarantine Earth until humanity could be safely integrated into galactic society. Others wanted to study them from a distance. A few suggested that contact should be cut off entirely. Representative Quextel of the Merchant Princes had a different idea. Think of the opportunities, he said. Species that can survive on death worlds could colonize planets that are uninhabitable to the rest of us. They could mine resources from worlds we cannot even approach. And what happens when they want? More than just empty death worlds? Asked Ambassador Zethkar. What happens when they look at our garden worlds and decide they want those too? Dr. Valthara had been quiet during most of the debate, but now she spoke up. I do not think they are conquerors, she said. I spent time with them. They are curious, like us. They want to learn and explore, but they are also protective. When they feel threatened, they do not just defend themselves. They defend their entire community. How do we know what they consider a threat? Asked General Dexmore. We don't, Dr. Valthera admitted. Their thinking is different from ours. They have survival instincts that we cannot understand. What seems normal to us might seem dangerous. To them, the chamber fell silent again as the representatives considered this. They were used to dealing with species that thought like they did. Garden world civilizations had similar values and similar ways of looking at the universe. Death world survivors might be completely different. There is something else, Dr. Valthara said quietly. I studied their entertainment. The stories they tell, the games they play, the movies they watch. They create fictional scenarios involving dangers greater than anything in our databases, and they enjoy it. She showed them clips from human movies and video games. Aliens watched in shock, as humans created elaborate stories about monsters, disasters, and threats that made their own worst nightmares seem tame. They practice being afraid, Dr. Valthera explained. They imagine terrible things happening, and then they figure out how to survive them. It is like military training, but they do it for fun. The implications were staggering. Species that spent their free time preparing for disasters and practicing survival might be ready for threats that the galaxy had never imagined. "What do you recommend?" asked Ambassador CE. Quotes, Kath relued around the chamber at the worried faces of the galaxy's leaders. "I recommend we be very careful," she said. "And I recommend we be very honest. If we try to deceive them or control them, they will know. They are survivors. They are used to recognizing threats." The vote was close, but the decision was made. The Galactic Council would implement protective measures around the Sol system. They would limit human expansion until humanity could be safely integrated into galactic society. As the representatives left the chamber, none of them noticed the small communication device that had been recording everything. Dr. Valthara had left it running by accident, and its signal had been picked up by human monitoring stations. The humans now knew that the galaxy saw them as a threat. The question was, what would they do about it? Admiral Patricia Cross read the intercepted message for the third time, her face growing darker with each word. The aliens had decided to quarantine Earth. They called it protective measures, but to human eyes, it looked like a prison sentence. After 30 years in the military, Patricia knew a threat when she saw one. "They studied us for weeks," she said to the assembled officers in the Situation Room. "They learned about our capabilities, our weaknesses, our technology. And now they want to lock us in our own solar system?" Captain Jake Morrison sat at the long table, still wearing his dress uniform from the diplomatic ceremonies. The medal for first contact felt heavy on his chest now. "Admiral, I think there might be a misunderstanding." Dr. Valthara seemed genuinely concerned about safety, not conquest. "Captain, I respect your opinion," Admiral Cross replied, "but facts are facts. They came here, they studied us, and now they want to contain us. That's exactly what an invasion force would do before making their move." The room fell silent. Around the table sat the best military minds Earth had to offer. Each of them had spent their careers preparing for the unknown threats that space might hold. None of them had expected the first threat to come wrapped in talk of protection and safety. Colonel Ryan Bennett, head of Earth's new Deep Space Defense Division, spoke up. "What are our options, Admiral? We have 3 deep space vessels ready for deployment," Patricia said. "The Horizon, the Discovery, and the Endeavor. They're not warships, but they're tough and they're fast. We can establish communication relays outside the solar system before any quarantine takes effect. That could be seen as an aggressive move," Captain Morrison warned. "Everything we do will be seen as aggressive," Admiral Cross replied. "They've already decided we're dangerous. The question is whether we accept their judgment or show them that free humans make their own choices."
Ow.
The science vessel that orbited Earth's moon, Dr. Valthara watched the human military preparations with growing alarm. Her sensors showed increased activity at human spaceports. Ships were being loaded with supplies and personnel. The humans were preparing for something big. "I know," she told Ambassador Zethkar over the communication link. "Somehow they learned about the Council's decision." "How is that possible?" Zethkar asked. "Our communications are encrypted. I left a recording device active during the Council session," Dr. Valthara admitted. "I wanted to review the discussions later. I did not think human technology could intercept our signals." Zethkar was quiet for a long moment. "What are they doing?" "Mobilizing their space fleet," Dr. Valthera said. 3 ships are preparing to leave the solar system. I think they are trying to establish positions outside the quarantine zone. They see our protection as an attack," Zethkar realized. "Their Deathworld psychology makes them view any restriction as a threat to their survival." Dr. Valthera nodded, though he could not see her. "We need to explain the situation to them. They do not understand that we are trying to help. I will send a diplomatic message immediately, Zethkar said. Perhaps we can resolve this peacefully. 3 days later, the human ships reached the edge of the solar system. Commander Steve Parker led the small fleet aboard the UES Discovery. His orders were simple. Establish communication relays. Show the galaxy that humanity would not be caged. The alien ships were waiting for them, Commander. Parker looked at his tactical display and counted 12 vessels arranged in a loose formation near Neptune's orbit. They were beautiful ships, all curves and flowing lines like living coral. They looked nothing like warships, but Parker had learned not to judge alien technology by human standards. Open a channel, he ordered. 10 human vessels came. The translated voice. You're approaching the boundary of the protective zone established by the Galactic Council for the safety of all species. Please return to your home system. Parker looked at his crew. They were good people, scientists and explorers who had volunteered for humanity's first deep space mission. None of them wanted to fight, but none of them wanted to be prisoners either. Negative. Alien vessels, Parker replied. We are peaceful explorers, exercising our right to free travel. We have no intention of threatening anyone, but we will not accept restrictions on our movement. The alien response was immediate. Human vessels, you do not understand the danger. Your species poses risks that you cannot comprehend. The protective measures are for everyone's benefit, including your own. The only danger I see, Parker said, is aliens trying to control where humans can go. What happened next would be debated by historians for decades. The alien ships activated what they called suppression fields, designed to safely disable the engines of dangerous vessels. It was standard procedure for the Galactic Council, the non-lethal way to stop ships that posed a threat. The humans had never seen suppression fields before. To them, it looked like the aliens were targeting their ships with unknown weapons. Commander. Parker's tactical officer shouted a warning as energy readings spiked across his instruments. Defensive positions. Actor ordered. Activate countermeasures. The human ships responded exactly as they had been designed to. Electromagnetic pulse. Generators. Standard defensive equipment on all Earth vessels sent powerful energy waves through space. The pulse was designed to disable incoming missiles and electronic attacks. The alien ships, with their delicate organic technology, were completely unprepared for such a crude but effective defense. Their systems overloaded instantly. Of the galaxy's most advanced exploration vessels went dark in less than 10 seconds. Commander. Parker stared at his tactical display in shock. What just happened? Their ships are dead in space, sir, his tactical officer reported. All power readings are 0. Are they alive? Emergency systems are coming online. I'm reading life signs, but their main power is completely gone. Parker felt sick. He'd not wanted to hurt anyone. The humans had only been defending themselves, but somehow they had disabled an entire alien fleet without even trying. Send rescue ships immediately, he ordered. Full medical teams. We need to help them. Dr. Valthera found herself floating in the dark emergency section of her ship, breathing from an oxygen mask while emergency lights flickered around her. The human electromagnetic pulse had destroyed every major system on the vessel. Life support was running on backup power that would last maybe 6 hours. Her communication system crackled to life. Ethereal vessels. This is Commander Parker of the human fleet. We are sending rescue ships to assist you. Please do not be alarmed. Dr. Valthara almost laughed despite her situation. The humans had accidentally destroyed 12 ships with their defensive systems. And now they were worried about alarming the aliens they had just defeated. The rescue operation took 8 hours. Human ships carefully towed the disabled alien vessels to a safe distance from the planetary gravity wells. Human engineers worked alongside ethereal technicians to restore basic life support. Human medical teams provided aid to aliens who had been injured when their ships lost power. Throughout the operation, Commander Parker kept apologizing. We did not mean to damage your ships, he said over and over. We were only defending ourselves. Thought you were attacking us. Dr. Valthera, now safely aboard a human rescue ship, watched the humans work. They moved with efficient purpose, helping beings who had just tried to stop them. They shared their food, their medical supplies, and their technical knowledge without being asked. "They are not conquerors," she told Ambassador Zethkar when communication was restored. "They are protectors. When they thought they were being attacked, they defended themselves. When they realized we needed help, they helped us. They destroyed 12 ships without even trying," Zethkar replied. "How is that not dangerous?" "It is dangerous," Dr. Velthara admitted, "but not in the way we thought. They are dangerous to anyone who threatens them, but they are also the first species I have met that will risk their own safety to help strangers." The Battle of the Sol Perimeter, as historians would later call it, lasted less than 10 minutes. But its effects would echo through the galaxy for generations. The humans had proven they could defend themselves against superior numbers. Had also proven they would help their enemies when those enemies needed aid. The question now was whether the galaxy would see them as threats to be contained or allies to be welcomed. The answer would determine the future of both human and alien civilizations. 6 months after the Battle of the Sol Perimeter, Dr. Velthara stood in the observation deck of Haven Station, watching human and alien workers building the galaxy's first joint space facility together. The sight still amazed her. Beings who had nearly gone to war were now creating something neither species could have built alone. The breakthrough had come when Dr. Karen Mitchell, Earth's leading expert on human psychology, had worked with Dr. Velthara to create a new understanding between their peoples. Dr. Mitchell was a small, quiet woman who spoke softly but had ideas that changed everything. The problem, Dr. Mitchell had explained to the Galactic Council, is that you have been thinking of humans as dangerous because we come from a dangerous world. But that is backwards. We are not dangerous despite our world. We are protective because of it. The council had listened in confusion as Dr. Mitchell explained human psychology using simple examples. She showed them videos of human parents protecting their children, of neighbors helping neighbors during disasters, of strangers risking their lives to save people they had never met. "Deathworlds do not create killers," she said. "They create protectors. When everything around you is trying to kill you, you learn that survival depends on working together. You learn to help others because someday you might need help too." Dr. Velthara had supported Dr. Mitchell's explanation with her own observations. "I have seen this myself," she told the council. "When humans thought we were threatening them, they defended themselves. But as soon as they realized we needed help, they stopped fighting and started rescuing us." The turning point came when Ambassador Zethkar asked a simple question. If humans are protectors, what would happen if they encountered a real threat to the galaxy? The answer came sooner than anyone expected. The mining world of Kepler 438b had been a peaceful place until the ground started shaking. The planet was rich in rare metals that many species needed for their technology. Thousands of miners from dozens of different worlds worked in the deep tunnels that honeycombed the planet's crust. When the massive earthquake hit, those tunnels became death traps. Poisonous gases filled the air. Toxic water flooded the lower levels. Heavy gravity that made mining profitable also made rescue operations nearly impossible for most species. Captain Jake Morrison, now commanding the joint human-alien vessel, U.S. Endeavour, received the distress call while patrolling the outer systems. His crew was a mix of humans and aliens working together for the first time. None of them had expected their first mission to be a disaster rescue. "How bad is it?" Morrison asked his alien science officer, a young ethereal named Dr. Sintel. "Very bad, Captain," Dr. Sintel replied. "The atmospheric pressure is crushing. The air is poison. The gravity is 3 times Earth normal. Most rescue ships cannot even land on the surface." Morrison looked at his human crew members. They were already checking their equipment and preparing for deployment. To them, this sounded like just another day on a dangerous world. "Can we handle it?" he asked his human engineer, Chief Petty Officer Mary Rodriguez. "It will be tough," Rodriguez said. "But we have dealt with worse on Earth. Remember the Indonesian mine collapse? This is bigger, but the principles are the same." Dr. Sintel stared at them in amazement. The humans were talking about a planet-wide disaster, like it was a difficult but manageable problem. They were not afraid. They were planning. The Endeavour reached Kepler 438b 12 hours after the earthquake. The planet looked like a vision of hell. Storms raged across the surface. The mining stations were dark. Emergency beacons blinked weakly from scattered locations. Alien. Rescue ships are maintaining orbit, reported the communications officer. They cannot land in these conditions. Morrison opened a channel to the other vessels. This is Captain Morrison of the Endeavour. We are going down to assist with rescue operations. Captain Morrison, came the worried reply. The surface conditions are lethal. No ship can survive landing in that atmosphere. Then it is a good thing we are from a death world, Morrison said. The Endeavour descended through the poisonous atmosphere like it was flying through Earth's sky. The human-designed hull and systems had been built to handle far worse conditions. When they landed at the main mining complex, Morrison and his team stepped out wearing only basic environmental suits. The other species would have needed full life support systems that weighed as much as small vehicles. The humans walked around like they were taking a stroll in the park. The main shaft is flooded, reported Sergeant Linda Thompson, the team's rescue specialist. We have got maybe 200 miners trapped on the lower levels. The water's rising, and the air is getting worse. Can we drain the shaft? Morrison asked. It's not fast enough, Thompson replied. But we can go down and get them out one by one. What followed was the most dangerous rescue operation in galactic history. Human teams descended into flooded mine shafts where the water was acid, the air was poison, and the pressure could crush most beings. They worked for 18 hours straight, bringing up survivors one by one. The alien rescue coordinators watched in amazement as humans did things that should have been impossible. They swam through water that would dissolve alien flesh. They breathed air that would kill most species in minutes. They carried injured miners up shafts that were so deep and dangerous that no sane being would enter them. Dr. Valthara, monitoring the operation from orbit, sent regular reports to the Galactic Council. The humans are not just surviving in conditions that would kill us, she reported. They are thriving. They work faster and more efficiently in extreme conditions than we do in normal ones. When the last miner was brought to safety, Morrison and his team had saved over 300 lives. They had worked in conditions that no other species could survive. They had risked their own lives dozens of times to save beings they had never met. The alien miners, representing 15 different species, gathered to thank their human rescuers. Many of them were crying, though their tears were different colors and consistencies depending on their biology. "Why'd you do this?" asked one of the miners, a crystalline being whose voice sounded like wind chimes. "We are strangers to you. Why did you risk your lives for us?" Morrison thought about the question for a moment. "Because you needed help," he said finally. "That is what people do. When someone needs help, you help them." The rescue at Kepler 438b changed everything. Galaxy saw humans not as dangerous Deathworld survivors, but as the people you wanted on your side when everything went wrong. They were the species that ran toward danger instead of away from it. The formal alliance between Earth and the Galactic Council was signed 3 months later aboard Haven Station. The ceremony was broadcast across the galaxy, watched by billions of beings who were still trying to understand what humans were and what they meant for the future. Admiral Patricia Cross, now serving as Earth's first galactic ambassador, spoke for humanity. "We know we are different," she said. "We come from a world that taught us to be strong, to be tough, to never give up. But our world also taught us that survival depends on helping each other. We offer the galaxy not just our strength, but our promise to use that strength to protect those who need protection." Dr. Valthara, now serving as the Galactic Council's Human Affairs Specialist, had the final word. "We spent months being afraid of humanity because they were different from us. We thought their differences made them dangerous. We were wrong. Their differences make them valuable. They can go places we cannot go. They can do things we cannot do. They can survive things that would destroy us. But most importantly, they will stand between danger and innocent people, even if those people are strangers." As the ceremony ended, Captain Morrison prepared for his next mission aboard the Endeavour. The ship was now permanently crewed with humans and aliens working together. Their mission was to explore the galactic rim, where conditions were too dangerous for normal exploration vessels. "Where are we going first, Captain?" asked Dr. Centel, who had requested to stay with the human crew. Morrison smiled as he looked. "At the star charts, there is a system near the galactic edge where ships have been disappearing. It's probably some kind of space phenomenon. Very dangerous." "Perfect," said Chief Rodriguez. "Sounds like a job for humans." Dr. Centel still could not understand how humans got excited about danger instead of afraid of it. But he had learned to trust their strange psychology. When humans said something was dangerous, they meant it was exactly the kind of challenge they were built to handle. The galaxy had not been ready for humanity. But as the Endeavor jumped to hyperspace, heading toward unknown dangers with a crew that was eager to face them, it was clear that humanity was exactly what the galaxy needed. Behind them, Earth continued to spin in its orbit around the sun, a beautiful blue marble that looked peaceful from space. Few beings looking at it would guess that it was one of the most dangerous worlds in the galaxy, or that it had produced the bravest people the universe had ever seen.